Welcome back to Accelerated Hypnotherapy. My name's Liana West. I talk to a lot of people on free clarity sessions that I offer. They're like a free consultation for hypnotherapy, OEI therapy, and EMDR flash therapy. I combine all of these with neuroscience to rewire people's brains. And what I notice on these calls is that when people go to talk therapy, they are often looking for advice. They want the answers to come from somewhere outside of themselves. If you've ever felt that way, the reason is that trauma rewires how your brain processes things. After you've experienced trauma, your brain is overwhelmed. It's like your brain catches on fire. And imagine you're in a burning building, you're in a smoke-filled room, you're just trying to get out. If that was actually happening, your brain is on alarm mode and it is stuck in the on position. If you were actually in a burning building and you couldn't get out of the room, you would just want someone to tell you how to get out, how to get back to safety. You want someone to show you the exact way out. And this is what happens when your brain is in that survival mode. The part of your brain that makes really good decisions, that weighs out all your options, is offline. Even if you've experienced trauma months or years ago, it still occurs to your brain and your body as if you're still in danger. And you're stuck and you don't know how to get out. You just want someone to tell you what to do. And it feels comforting. You get a bit of relief when you get the advice, but you often aren't able to follow it anyway, because the part of the brain that follows advice and can plan things out, that's offline as well. So I find that these people have tried everything and nothing's worked. Nothing has got them across the line to where they actually want to be. And it's because if your brain is still on fire, whatever you're doing, talking, getting advice, doing psychedelics, if your brain is still on fire, it's one of the reasons why these things aren't working. Because to process trauma, you actually have to put out the fire in your brain. You have to cool down the brain. You have to calm your brain the down. And only then will whatever you're doing even have the possibility of working. So until then, whatever you're doing, if your brain is still on fire, it's not going to work. Drop a brain emoji in the comments if that makes sense to you. One of the things that people do is talk about the trauma. And the problem with talking about trauma is that your brain and your body still think that experience is happening in the present moment because your brain hasn't been able to process it logically. It hasn't been able to pull all the pieces together and put it in a timeline with a beginning, a middle, and an end to your experience so that it can file it away in the past tense. This is why you feel stuck. You might experience vivid flashbacks, intrusive memories, and these intense bad feelings in your body. They will occur to you as if they're happening again in the present moment. If you talk about trauma, this will further revivify it. It will cause you to experience and relive that trauma over again, because trying to recall trauma is like pouring gasoline on a fire. And sometimes you'll feel even more triggered after you talk about it. One of my clients went to talk therapy with her partner and was told to write a letter to her partner about some of the problems that they were having. And then 17 freaking pages later, she was triggered as because writing about what happened, recalling it causes you to relive it. And just a note, don't ever let the person that you're writing that to ever read it. You don't have to remember to recover. When you're in a smoke-filled room, you can't see clearly. Before any solution that you apply to fix your trauma, your brain needs to cool down. It needs to calm down. When your brain and your body are cooled down, then you can actually connect with your superconscious mind, and you can access answers and resources that have been there all along. If you're feeling kind of stuck and confused and hopeless after trauma, you need to find someone who can stop the fire, show you the way back to safety. Research has shown that hypnotherapy is really effective for resolving symptoms of post-traumatic stress. And I believe it works because it's able to cool your brain down so that you can put all the techniques that are based in neuroscience to rewire your brain. When you can connect with the superconscious and rewire your brain, amazing things happen. There was a 14-year-old boy that booked a call with me on one of these free clarity sessions, and his mom and dad were on the line, and he wanted to become more confident and successful, but he was having problems talking to adults. Like, he couldn't even order a drink in a restaurant. And I could see him connecting with his superconscious on the call. Well, I could actually hear it because we were just on a call. So I said, I'll call him Tyler. Let's give Tyler some space just to think about this question. And I said, what is going to keep you coming back for a session in the summer when you could be at the beach, at the mall with your friends? What is it that you want from this? And don't say confidence and don't say success. And he thought about it for a moment and he went deep and he said, I want to be complete. Can you imagine if you were complete when you were 14 years old? Like, can you imagine the trajectory of your life? At any time when you become complete, it will change the trajectory of your life. After a couple sessions, Tyler came in and I said, okay, what's the problem? What's going on? He said, I just find myself talking to people. Adults, children. If I'm in the elevator at my building and I'm leaving, I just say, hey, have a great day. And I just talk to all sorts of people. And I find myself just talking to people. And I said, okay, well, what's the problem with that? And he said, the problem is I'm not aware when I'm doing it. And that's mastery. That's unconscious competence right there. When you don't have to think about doing it, you just find yourself doing the thing that you couldn't do. It's because inside of the hypnotherapy sessions, it's like we were practicing how to ride a bike. So he was getting on the bike, he was balancing, pedaling, steering, and then when he went back to his life, he was just riding the bike all over the place, riding his bike in the elevator. And his brain was able to cool down. What was happening before is whenever he was trying to deal with whatever happened that had him stuck, he was reliving that traumatic experience over and over again. And his brain would become so overwhelmed that it couldn't hold on to the experience and process it. And so the experience was still in its raw form, all these scenes and these sensory elements that aren't cohesive, that aren't in any logical order, that there's no timeline, and they haven't been processed by the part of the brain, that verbal part of the brain that puts words around experience. So you might find that it's even hard to describe a traumatic experience because that experience is still in the present tense and your brain isn't able to process it. So you need to cool down the brain so that it can actually work with that raw footage and turn it into something cohesive with a narrative. The neuroscience term for this is integration, so that your brain and your body understand that it's in the past tense, and then you can file it away into the past. And then there's that feeling of being complete with what has happened. And each day, whatever happened gets further and further away into the past. At the end of the session, I asked him, what's the problem now? And he said to his mom, because his mom was there in the room, he said, Mom, I don't think I have a problem anymore. If you feel like it's hard to make decisions, to think logically, to figure things out for yourself, and you just want someone to tell you what to do, find someone who knows how to cool down your brain, help you integrate what's happened, integrate that experience into the past, using neuroscience and evidence-based tools to help you put that experience into the past so that you can feel complete with whatever has happened. And it's not taking up space in the present moment or in your future? What is your biggest challenge after you've experienced betrayal? What is that thing that's keeping you stuck and not allowing you to move forward? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe and like this video for more content on betrayal trauma, and let's connect on the next one.